Well, that was a pain in the ass to fix. Ugh. Killing me inside. Alright, what do we got here? So I think I managed to both fix the... There we go, yeah. So now the leaderboard still works. What do we have to do? Oh, and I can tell you right here why that's not fucking displaying correctly. There we go. Bam. So now I can just... the scoreboard works again? Hell yeah. So I fixed that. I fixed... Yeah, let me just start recording while I'm here. Did not anticipate this would work. Alright, yeah, I just actually hopped on to the restream.io. So, to make some sense of this horseshit, the thing is that we use a program called Restream to host our chats, which basically like remuxes in all the chats from YouTube and Twitch and DLive and Picardo and Mixer and Facebook and all that. So it bands all them together into the chat that you see above my dome right here. So yeah, who was I just talking with in the chat? It appeared on, let me see, it was like Grim something or other. Hold on, Grim Reality. Yeah, so I'm Zak Zyz. I have been writing for a long time. I got about 5 books in print. This is like my 10th or 11th that we're working on editing right here. I didn't plan to do another editing session today, but here I am. There's still coffee in the pot, so might as well. So we've been working on Lemon Maybe and the Electric Lady. This is my, this is a like sort of comic book, noir book set in New York City. And I'm gonna put a little bit more work into the first half of this chapter, which we worked on earlier today. This is a chapter 45, concerns Gary Polk. He's a telepath who has just had a heart attack after being like having the shit shocked out of him by a character called the Electric Lady, after he was reading her mind and called her a bunch of terrible things. And she's just like, all right. And she zapped the ever-living piss out of him, and he had a heart attack. So he has just been discharged from the hospital and decided that he wanted to change his ways and become a better person after being inspired by sort of the tireless nurses and medical people that he saw. So hold on, let me make sure there's not crazy feedback coming from my own stream. So I wouldn't hear it. Well, I would sort of hear it. But okay, yes, I think that's fixed. I can't believe I fixed all this. So, and I also figured out the problem there. The problem is that every 30 days, the Twitch fucking API, the key will just expire. So unfortunately, oh wait, is that Zentrada up here on the chat? This is Morning Sir. Fuck, I wish I could scroll back in these chats. Hello. Let's see. So, oh, that is Zentrada. What are you doing out there, sir? I play League of Legends with Zentrada. He's a fucking real one. So anyhow, where was I with this whole thing? So after he gets out of the hospital, Gary runs into a guy named Terry, whose name happens to rhyme with his. I don't know why I chose to do that. And Gary and Terry have a perfect marriage. No, it's not 8 Mile. It's fucking... So Terry is addicted to methamphetamine. And as Gary is like reading all this suffering baked into Terry, he decides he wants to be a better person. He wants to try and help Terry. So this chapter is, let me see, Terry was the first disciple. Where am I going to get to in this chapter? That'll never work. Blah, blah, blah. We edited this morning, so that's why I'm breezing through all of this. So this is, what starts to happen is that he starts walking around with Terry and talking with him and sort of trying to fix him, using his telepathy to figure out when Terry's about to fuck up and need to go score drugs. And trying to divert his attention away, trying to act as like kind of a weird, like telepathic therapist to this guy. Well, what starts to happen is that other junkies and homeless dudes and so forth glom onto the fact that this is happening, and they all believe that he is a messiah sent by God to fix all of them, and they just start hanging out with him. They think that Gary is their big chance, and as much as he tries to tell them, you know, I'm not the messiah, you know, I'm not a holy man or whatever, it's useless. People have decided that he is on a mission from God, and they believe it 100%. Real talk. Oh, and let me see if that even is Zentrada. God, I just can't see for shit. Yeah, that's indeed Zentrada. That's wild. Yeah, I just played a couple of rounds of the new TFT set. It's all right. I'm losing really bad at the moment, but I'm just gonna run Teemo in every comp just because I can. TFT is not a good game. I'm just putting it out there. It's not great. All right, so where's the spot where I let off? Something about stronger in a group and so forth. Yeah, so it's like a whole, I've been editing this for the past 47 days. So that's a lot of YouTube videos to get through. I haven't put them into a playlist or anything yet either. I should do that at some point. But I surely don't expect anybody to be in to run through this whole thing unless you're super bored. But where did I edit all that? But eventually this will get published, and then you can read the whole book, and I'll read the audiobook for it and so forth. Gary owns this building, 5 a.m. All right, so this is the part of the chapter that I'm going to redo because it has not been edited. What I wound up doing was we had tense issues with this chapter. The chapter started off in present tense, then it dipped into past tense, and then it went back into present tense. I find that kind of insufferable. So what I've done here is I took the part that was past tense and I put it at the beginning. Then I have this transition right over here. When Gary arrived at the diner at 6 a.m. Oh yeah. So this is the paragraph where we have our transition. Boom. And then, yeah, this Mac just beach balls whenever it feels like it. It's a janky old Mac. And there are several newer Macs around here, but I don't swap it out because the keyboard on this one is significantly better than the 2019 Macs. This morning, Gary arrived at the diner at 6 a.m. like he'd promised, and all the guys were waiting for him on the sidewalk. Yeah. All right, so let's try that. This morning, Gary arrived at the diner at 6 a.m. like he'd promised. All his guys were waiting for him on the sidewalk. Not a single one was missing. He was floored by that. These guys don't get up very early for anything. Yeah, I think we just do too much. We can take that out. I don't think it really tracks well. Let me see. Hold on, test one more time. Test 5. Cool. So it's still working. Y'all just silent. What we got here? Some have been waiting around for hours for him to show. Let's name the diner here. This morning, Gary arrived at the Half Moon Diner at 6 a.m. like he'd promised. All his guys were waiting for him on the sidewalk. Not a single one was missing. Some had been there for hours. Some had been waiting for hours. Gary can't believe they all showed up. Now they're all chowing down on mountains of rubbery pancakes and acres of corned beef. Every bite gets drenched in Tabasco and washed down with sugary coffee. Something about recovery. They all crave sweets. Gary is reading the waiter's mind, watching the scene through his eyes. He was out... His name is Lawrence. He stayed out way too late last night. Let me see. Now he's seeing the world through a sleepy veil of bemusement. He knows he's going to have to spend a long time cleaning this up. He'll probably get stiffed on the tip, and the bathroom will look like a war zone when it's all over. That is true. That is exactly what would happen if you let a platoon of hobos sit in your restaurant. He's too tired to care. He thinks of Gary's party as the junkie Last Supper. Lawrence is an art student at SVA, and his thoughts are unusually rich. He can look at a table full of bums and see Leonardo. Gary doesn't mind one... Yeah, let's take that out. He's smirking at his own wit as he tops off coffee mugs. Which bum is going to sell Gary out for 30 pieces of silver? He's waiting for someone to spill the salt. Gary decides he likes this guy. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so that's just cleaning up a little of our transition right there. We edited the rest of this morning. But what we didn't edit is... the last 24 hours have been a crash course on impulse and addiction. New bums keep joining Gary's malodorous congregation. Every new arrival has his song of need to the choir. There's no escaping them. Gary's submerged in their lying, constipated, twitching, aching, shaking spectrum. An unbelievable amount of discomfort and misery is concentrated in these men, and Gary feels it all. once removed. He's the eye at the center of a whole hurricane of hurt, a cyclone of fucked up lives and failure. He's been carrying these men inside him, suffering them. He's their shepherd. As they eat, Gary operates on them. He's learned a lot since yesterday. Today, he's better at spotting the holes he needs to plaster over with reassurance, the dangerous spots he needs to tiptoe around, the magic words these guys have been waiting their whole lives to hear. Some of them need Jesus, and some need Muhammad. Some need to be forgiven, and some need to be punished. Some need him to tell it like it is, and some need him to tell it like it ain't. Some need him to tell it like it is, and others need him to tell it like it ain't. I like that sentence. That's a terrible sentence in terms of grammar, but I like it. Some need him to tell it like it is, and some need him to tell it like it ain't. Yeah, let's take that out. And just have, like, there's an overall narrative tone for this piece coming from the owner of a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen. That's why we throw in these occasional ain'ts and so forth, even though Gary's from fucking Oklahoma or Ohio or some bullshit state. He wouldn't talk like that. Minnesota. The guys sitting closest to Gary are true believers. They spent all last night whispering and figuring. Every man has his own crackpot theory as to what Gary really is. Messiah, angel, space reptile, mutant. The guys sitting closest to Gary are true believers. They spent all night whispering. There we go. The guys sitting closest to Gary are true believers. They spent all last night trying to figure him out, and every man has his own crackpot theory. Messiah, angel, space reptile, mutant. Nobody's sure what he is, but they can all agree he's worth following around. But he's worth following. Worth cleaning up your act for. Some are going through pretty rough withdrawal right now, pale and shaking, sweating and wincing. Wincing and pale. But they shovel down the food they can barely taste, bottle their pain and keep their heads up, alert for the moment when Gary decides they've had enough. He knows when they're lying, knows when they mean well but will fuck up anyway, knows everything about them, and he forgives them as much as he can. That's the hardest part, seeing what put these men in such dire straits and agreeing that they deserved it, then fighting that down and helping them anyway. I like that. Gary spends a few words on each man, each one perfect. Gary spends a few words on each man, every syllable perfect, an answer to everything blooming in their minds. He says exactly what they need to hear. He can feel his words exploding in their nervous systems. Be there soon. PC acting up, says Spathy Wah. Yeah, I did not expect to do another session, but here we are. Yeah, I just gotta be kind of lured to doing it, I guess. I like that the first half hour of this broadcast is me just troubleshooting some bullshit with Restream. But Gary spends a few words on each man, each syllable perfect. Yeah, that's not good. It's been set on the shutting down screen for 4 minutes. Yeah, it's just installing an update, homie. That's what you get for that Windows. Better not be Linux. It's a high stronger than junk. True religion. It's changing them, and it's changing him, too. Gary can never go back to what he was. He's just as hooked on the feeling as they are. Maybe more so. Last night he paid for 22 cots at 2 different shelters, handed out a fistful of Metro cards, and bought a dozen pizzas. He never expected to see anyone again. Every single one of them is here. Later today, he's going to take these guys to the Kmart on 34th. Get them all some reasonable clothes. I hate the fucking way that happens. Razors, toiletries, whatever they need. He has the money. Then what? If Gary tells them to work, they'll get jobs. If he gave them rifles, they'd march to war for them. What's the limit supposed to be? How many of these guys can he save? How much of this can he bear? Is it too much to think he can save the whole city? Too much to think? Yeah, let's just take... It feels like the horizon keeps rushing closer and closer, like he's on the verge of something massive, instead of just... used up is hyphenated. There's a sense he's doing something massive. Yeah. It feels like the start of something massive. I want to be better. Okay, cool. So that is awesome because I wanted to finish this chapter today to keep track. That puts us at 381 right there. And just to recap some of the things that we did here, we took a chapter which had like a very confusing tense shift, double tense shift in it. We brought it down to one tense shift. So chapter 45, how many words did we get through here? Yeah, so like basically like it had the scene at the diner and then it went to like him rallying up all these homeless dudes and then it went back to the diner for some fucking reason. So better to just sort it all out this way there. Okay, so that chapter took us 3 days and it was 2,526 words. Good God almighty. Let's see. 2,526, and I think I just spent like 20 or 30 minutes on that. Hold on, let me take a gander. I'm going to give it 30 minutes, actually, because there was some time where we were fucking with it before it went live. So I'm going to give... Okay, cool. So we still only spent like 2.5 hours here. So we got through chapter 44. Which means that tomorrow we can work on day 48. We can work on chapter 45. And maybe tomorrow I'll actually get this right. Whoa, that was chapter 45 that we went through. What, did I split this up or something? Hold on. Let me get to the bottom. All right, so we've been working on 45 the whole time. And then, okay, cool. So maybe it only took me a couple days to get through chapter 45. Yeah, no. I definitely lost track somewhere around here. Oh, you know what it was? Is that we worked on chapter 44 yesterday, and then we worked through about half of chapter 45. And then today I worked through another half of 45, and then after it I went back and rearranged shit, and my life got turned upside down. So we're still keeping with one chapter a day, except for obviously the days where it took too many fucking days. And that means that we can go back. It means we're going to get to work on chapter 46 next. So spoiler alert, that cool, refreshing drink. Oh God. So this is actually a chapter with Maybe and Sarah, where they have kind of a heart-to-heart at the food court in Grand Central Station, which is like, have you ever been in New York? Grand Central is like, it's somewhere there within your mind. All right, so life is good. I'm happy to be through that. We're at 382 of 656. Which is exactly where I would like to be at. Well, honestly, I'd like to be at like 544 at this point here. Which, honestly, if I can figure out like what exactly spurred me to do an additional little bit of editing today, mostly it was that I was unhappy that we hadn't completed a chapter. But yeah, if I started doing like a second session around noon or something like that, maybe have like another cup of coffee or something, we could probably heat this up a little bit. Holy shit, it's starting to get hot in New York City, though. It's like fucking, I'm sweating. Real talk. I can't even fool around there. All right, I gotta go deliver something on my motorcycle and a bunch of other stuff. But thank you, Spathywa, for hopping through. And just I fixed the Spathy thing. Absorb, you're at 170. I'm giving you an extra point because I've I'm sure I missed one somewhere. And yeah, I had to. So Twitch changed up their. I think just the API key fucking died out, and just every 30 days, Twitch will stop working, and I just have to disconnect the account and reconnecting it for fucking everything. Which is so annoying. Like, and they require 2-factor auth if you want to stream. So, fuck these guys. I'm not a big fan of 2-factor auth. I think everybody should just use their own fucking account and stop stealing other people's. But that's my theory. So yeah, we made some progress, and life is good. So hopefully life is good for you too.